thank you so much for joining us on the call here tonight. Let me just give you a very brief introduction. Dr. Ed de los Reyes, am I saying that well?
Yes, said it well.
I've been practicing all day. So look, thank you for being here. You're originally from the Philippines, but you now live in Kentucky. You're a retired physician. You were board certified in pain management. So that's what you really specialized in, was pain management. I believe also you can practice in anesthesiology and pediatrics. Is that correct?
Correct.
Yeah. So very accomplished individual. So again, thank you for joining us. So can you tell us a little bit of your ASEA experience, kind of where you were in your life, what was going on with you when ASEA crossed your path, and the transformation that you had from it?
Oh, yes. My ASEA story started in 2015, and I was coming home from a long flight after attending my son's wedding. I developed severe discomfort in my back. I had it examined, and then immediately I was referred to a neurosurgeon. And so I did. I went to a neurosurgeon, and then I was asked to have a procedure done as soon as possible. Well, I have a bias with that because in my chronic pain practice, most of my patients have this procedure done, and most of them have failed. That's why they are there in my clinic and managing them. So it took me to talk to 6 more neurosurgeons and spine surgeons to be able to convince me to have this procedure done. My condition was not well. It was becoming more severe. So I elected to have this procedure after talking to 6 more surgeons. So I was given this procedure, and I was still hesitant. So I did my research and looked for the best surgeons that can do the procedure for me. I found one, and his success rate is 90%. And I went and had this procedure done. And of course, my outcome was not that great. I belonged to that 10% failure rate instead of that 90%. So instead of getting better, I suffered much more than before surgery. So I was told that I could no longer work, and so I requested him, and that was a surprise to me. I requested him that I should need to continue and on my own supervision. So I did. I made some adjustments. I discontinued my pain practice, which required me to wear a 20-pound vest every time I do procedure, and then dropped that practice and went into anesthesia purely doing supervision. And I was using an assistive device to walk, and I was placed on 5 more medications to make me functional. But in spite of that, I was still not having a good sleep at night. Every hour, my discomfort wakes me up. So I feel terrible, and every time I have a follow-up, a second procedure was offered, and I always refuse it until the time that it's time for my 1-year follow-up. At that time, I was already depressed. I was already discouraged, and I just want this thing to go away. So I submitted for a second procedure to have that thing done. Because of my specialty, I know what happens with multiple back procedures, and it may end me up into a wheelchair. And so I prepared for that. I retired and submitted myself for that second procedure. Weeks after that, I was introduced to ASEA, and I was just taking 2 ounces in the morning and 2 ounces at nighttime, and I was rubbing Renew 2 to 3 times a day on a daily basis. My surprise, within that week, I felt the most relief that I ever experienced for over a year. And I had the best sleep for 4 hours continuous undisturbed sleep that I experienced. When I woke up, my brain fogginess was not there. I was more alert, and I was more awake, and my discomfort was lessened. And this continued when I continued drinking it and rubbing it on a daily basis. My improvement continued to the point that I was able to cancel my second procedure, to the point that I was able to wean off my pain, my medications, and to the point that I was able to get rid of my assistive device. At that point, I could not still give it fully to ASEA until I asked my mother to use this product also. I asked her to drink 2 ounces in the morning and 2 ounces at nighttime. At that time, she had a condition. She had a brain condition that made her not able to speak. And this was 4 years into her brain condition. So when I asked her to drink this one, in just 2 weeks' time, she started talking again. She started um, formulating words, then sentences, and eventually she was back to conversing. So my mom, which I lost because she cannot no longer communicate, brought her back to us, and then she was given 3 more years of her life. I started her; she was already in her 90s, and we just lost her last February. But it was a life-changing experience for us, siblings, and my mom, that she was brought back to us and have a fruitful life in the last 3 years of our life. So that was really amazing that
Amazing,
we were
yeah.
able to experience that. And also, I just have one more. My experience from my granddaughter who had an accident that happened and peeled off his skin because of a very hot tea. And that peeled off first and second layer of her skin. Immediately she screamed. And I remember applying Renew 28 on this type of condition. So I did apply, and I drove to the nearest children's hospital. And within 30 minutes of applying it, she was back playing. She was comfortable. Pain is gone. We reached the ER. They debrided the skin. She was she tolerated it well. But what is amazing is that in a month's time, she healed well. She has no scarring and not even a skin discoloration, despite her high pigmented skin, much darker than I am. And that was amazing. With these stories and much more experiences, I am always proud to share these amazing molecules to anybody. And in the eyes of a medical practitioner, not as a marketer, I love sharing this because I can make an impact on people's lives. Thank you for having me here.
Absolutely fantastic, incredible stories. I think what's interesting to me is, despite your own incredible transformation, you still weren't quite there yet. You were still a little bit of that medical skepticism, and it really wasn't until your mother's transformation, where she's starting to speak again and put those words together. And you're explaining to me, you're in Kentucky, she's in California. And so the ability to, you're not there with her. And so really you had lost her without that ability to talk. But it was that was really, okay, this is not the placebo. This is real. Something's going on here.
Correct.
So I love it. Look, when this technology impacts generations, and certainly that's the way it's been with me, my father, my wife, my daughter, with you, your mother, yourself, your granddaughter, when a technology like this can impact generations, it's so significant. It's so significant. So Dr. Ed, thank you so much for sharing your story with us, and your mom and your granddaughter. Really appreciate your time here on the call tonight. Thank you so much. I do want to stress to everybody that, of course, ASEA is not a treatment or cure for any disease or medical condition. We are simply empowering ourselves with more of these very powerful molecules that can help our cells signal and communicate these critical messages that can move us towards health and healing. And just an astonishing technology.